G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today we're going to be having a look at the M24 chaffee, but a slightly different chaffee. This particular chaffee that we're going to be having a look at is the Thunder League one. For those of you who don't know what Thunder League was, it was War Thunder's attempt at an esports tournament. We still actually do have a small esports scene in War Thunder, but it wasn't quite as well hyped and funded and all this sort of stuff as one might hope. And you might think, oh, esports in War Thunder would have been pretty fucking boring, right? Honestly, it really wasn't that boring. I found it quite interesting, actually. I learned a couple of interesting planes. There were a couple of interesting tactics, like wiggling the tank's turret to cause a bounce or a deflection. There were things like positioning, different power positions, pincer maneuvers, things that I previously hadn't learned as a tanker, and also things as a pilot. For example, taking your time with your bombs. There's certain attitudes that your plane might be facing with your bombing. And of course the BF-109 G6 and its lovely Verfaganata rockets. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But anyway, this is basically an M24 chaffee with some special skins, as well as, of course, APCR, which I've got 5 rounds of here, just in case I come across like a KV-1 or something like that, because you will need it. Our first victim, however, is this little SDKFZ, little skadoofa here. Gets absolutely dunked on by those 75mm rounds. They are beautiful. They are absolutely beautiful shells when they penetrate and when they do damage. This particular tank here kind of has that combination of decent mobility, lowish profile, fairly okay reload. Unfortunately though, that 75mm shell will sometimes not penetrate. And I make a bit of a crappy judgment here, unfortunately, because I get my breach taken out. That's volumetric armor for you. And in fact, that made me pretty fucking salty, I'm going to be honest with you. It really put a bad taste in my mouth. I don't really feel that strongly about volumetric armor. I'm not going to say I liked it the way it was, but it certainly, I didn't have issues like that. And for me, that makes me a little bit sad. Let me know your thoughts on volumetric armor in the comments below, actually. I really want to know the general community consensus, because I know Spookston doesn't like it. I watched his video on it, and I know that Mystic Man, who is another streamer, does not like that either. What I do like, however, is when that APHE, or that APCBC, does its magic, and there goes a SAV 1946 over there. Yes, that is a 1946 tank. The Swedes were very behind on their tank development. So, actually, I think the chaffee was in service in like 1940. Was it 1944? And served well into the Korean War, so I don't know. You can kind of call this a post-war tank as well. Regardless, what we're going to be doing here is sort of camping out, having a little squiz at this Panzer. I think it's a Panzer 4 at this point. I have scouted him, and that's one of the things that the chaffee comes well equipped with. Yeah, you can see I'm not really that well versed with the gun. It does have a fair drop, and that might be a combination of lower muzzle velocity and the scope zoom. I still doofed the shot into the hillside. Unfortunately, I'm not a great shot with it, and I try and scout him again. Turns out he's already scouted, which is fine. Notice here how I'm sort of slowly creeping up to that little hill there. I noticed that I have a couple of friendlies up there, and they basically all get slaughtered. I realized that my mistake was coming up too late. That Panzer 3 or Panzer 4, whatever it is, up on the hill north of me, is well distracted, so he would not be a threat to me. What I should have done is I should have pushed up here a little bit earlier to try and save a few of my teammates. And there we go, there's a SAV, there's a couple of other things, a Panzer 3J, getting kills there really close by, and the C point is now being captured, which is really bad for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and sneak up behind these tanks here. There is a Panzer 3J, but I decide to go for the T-34, and unfortunately I ricochet off the sort of weird spot on his turret. The Panzer 3J sort of notices me, so I put one into his side. Very easy kill if you can put it into the side there. And now I hide a little bit just to expose as little as possible, and I get a nice shot into the gunner and loader spot. As I roll up the hill to finish him off, I notice there's a chaffee, and whilst the chaffee is not paying attention to me, I really wanted that thing dead because it will shred me to pieces, and the T-34 is not paying attention quite clearly. So I'm going to go for that one right there, and then I spot myself another T-34. this spot here is extremely powerful if you have the correct angles. And I, again, doofed the shot into the hillside because I am still really having trouble getting used to this gun at this point. Another shot goes out and I just bonk it into the hillside once more. It's going to come to me eventually. I'll get the right height eventually, and third time is not the charm, unfortunately. It's a little bit of a struggle for me. Maybe I'll get it the fourth time. Come on, Gaijin, you're really hurting my feelings now. I thought this T-34 was going to, spot me, turn around, and kill me, but unfortunately for him, I managed to spot him out and take him just in time. One shot, lovely shot there into the Panzer IV F2, and I managed to take him out as well. I'm on 7 kills, which is very nice. It's pretty good to have 7 kills like that. This thing really does have a lot of capabilities, and once you're able to sit up here, I would consider this a bit of a power spot, a power position. You're going to be basically using this spot to dominate areas of the battlefield. You're not exactly camping as such. You are just sort of controlling the map from a certain position. And once there are no more enemies in that position, you obviously have to move up. These types of positions are not terribly common in the game. And in this particular instance, they do have counterable spots. So for example, if you're up on the hill on the red side, it would just sort of be south of the sea point there, in that little canal, just on the side where you can see that tank destroyer is being spotted. A little bit up that hill is a perfect spot to counter opponents coming out from that spot. You've also got another spot on the other side of the hill. These sorts of things are actually quite well balanced, and that's why I like this particular map for this particular tier. At higher tiers, it kind of loses its viability because of the closer ranges and the thermals, but at low tiers, I think Jungle is probably one of the best maps in the game. Just because it has lots of counterable spots, as well as armor being fairly relevant, but at the same time, longer distance battles are not quite as prominent. And in fact, the shorter range combat between, I would say, sub 1.5 kilometers is actually really fun and decently challenging at this type of battle rating. Because the gun here on the chaffee, the 75mm, is not exactly a long-range gun. It's pretty challenging to fire this with 100% accuracy, or at least accuracy above, say, 85%. You're going to have problems. However, something like a Panzer IV is going to be a little bit easier in that case. However, less good at brawling, so you do have a fair amount of diversity in terms of your weapon types and your play styles, and it does suit that sort of closer in combat, but still gives you that opportunity to snipe, which is what I really like. Unfortunately there, I don't get the shots on the IL-2, and he just kind of goes back to base. And then this bad boy shows up. This is why you do not push an American low-tier tank. They all have short-stop stabilizers, so they're all going to be able to shoot before you can. The Panzer IIIJ is a good tank. You just need to get that first shot, you need to get the sneaky on it, which is unfortunately what this Panzer IIIJ could not do. The chaffee is very competent, and even if you don't have APCR, I still think it is a really good tank, just simply by the virtue of it having a short-stop stabilizer and that APC BC. Plenty of penetration for what you need, and you also get smoke shells, smoke grenades, artillery, scouting. I am a very big fan of light tanks, and all the little nifty things that this tank comes with is really helpful. 50 cal on top, a 7.7 coaxial. It's really nice. It doesn't have the armor, so you do need to play a little bit sneaky, and you do need to be good with your shots. But most of the time, if you can get that shot off first, you really do have an easy time getting kills, especially when your opponents are not looking. You also have a fairly decent lineup at these sorts of battle ratings. 3.3, plenty of planes, plenty of decent attackers. You also have a Sherman, I think. And I would also take the M16 gun motor carriage. However, I decided to keep to tier 3 vehicles because I was doing a challenge, and I figured that this was probably the best way to do these challenges. I needed to come within the top 3, and I needed to win. So in this case, I did get 1 out of 3 of my little challenge thingies, and it was a very satisfying way to do so. The chaffee, particularly the Thunder League chaffee, has always had a special place in my heart just because it really has that ability to do whatever you want. Plus, it comes with some really cool camos that remind me of the good old days when I was still a newbie and figuring things out in War Thunder. Didn't know as much as I do now. I'm not going to say that I'm an absolute War Thunder genius by any means, but certainly I do know more than I did. And harking back to those days where I was still discovering things is quite nice. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. Take care. Enjoy your chaffies, enjoy the Battle Pass, and I guess I'll catch you next time.